The stuff that scrapes all this shit probably hasn't got it yet. But you know the way there's some websites that scrape the Armory API because I think you get an achievement whenever you get them or whatever it is. I don't know. Basically, they can look at people's collections and they can work out what percentage of like their sample size or whatever have actually got them out.
Yes.
So, yeah, we could like totally do that and see how many people have got the cat mount. I have a feeling this is going to be one of their fastest selling store mounts because cat people.
Yeah, it's a cat. It's gorgeous too.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, there's so little to say. It's a thing where it is a nice mount. But obviously it's a store mount, so all of the same problems apply where why is it a store mount if it's one of the nicer mounts you've made? Obviously, the answer's obvious.
Boy, howdy. Those are some big deduction skills. I suppose we should just jump right into it, actually, and let's talk about this mount, because we actually 100% even know where the next expansion is going to be because of this.
100%, yes, definitely, 100%.
As the Whisper said, beware the eyes of green. No, not really, but maybe, actually. So, to talk about this pretty nice cat, there's interesting sort of dimensions to this, everyone. It's not the 6-month sub. It's basically between 6-month subs or like in the middle of them or whatever. So that's one thing of note. That means they're sending this out fully just being like, okay, well, you're either going to need... How many WoW tokens is that? A good few 100,000 gold anyway. So you're either going to need that or you're just going to need to cough up and pay money. All right? So that means that you've got to think, well, why is this one specifically a $25 only store mount? Instead of being there as a part of the regular subscription. And I think what we can then work out there, the subscription has all of its World of Warcraft awards that we already know about, like the Sapphire Flappy Flyboy. It's got all of its Hearthstone rewards, which, of course, as you very well pointed out, are being perfectly doled out across the different months of the quarter. So they probably think, like, okay, well, there'll be diminishing returns if we put anything more in this.
Yeah.
And then I think they know that this mount is so hyper-targeted to a specific interest niche, demographic, whatever, that people are just going to fucking lap it up. I mean, the second, I know this is anecdotal, but, the second I refresh Twitter, just everyone just posting, we have the cat, I have the cat, oh my god, look at my character and the cat. It was just walls and walls of cat. Which, I mean, of course it is. It's a fucking cat. People are going to buy this shit. It's a brilliant mount. I mean, I don't support the store or any, this shit should be, earnable in game in a way that doesn't involve WoW token, but, it's a perfectly executed mount. So no wonder it's going to sell incredibly. And also make it feel a little bit not as good whenever the in-game mounts. There's a lot of recolors. There's not as many unique rigs, not as many unique animations. There are some that are very nice, but, if it's on the store, it will always be of the big super premium quality.
Which is, it comes down to the same thing every time, where it's, if you're a customer who's happy to pay more, you will get the better thing. And obviously that's like, that's fair, generally speaking. Obviously, pay more money, get a nicer thing is how it works. But that only really works for players if it's a nicer thing, as opposed to, the only nice thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky. So then the other thing is, read the room, guys. Read the room. Please read the room.
That's why the title of the stream is What a Time for a Store Mount. It is so clearly just, we do not give it, whoever made this decision does not give a shit about what we're saying, doesn't give a shit about what any of you in chat are saying, doesn't give a shit about what anyone on Twitter in this kind of relative sphere is saying. They're just going, well, the people who still like our game will give us money. They're the people we're going to target with this. Fuck everybody else, I guess.
Yeah, basically it's just sacrificing short-term and long-term optics for playing to the in-group, who are going to be there no matter what, to make a whole bunch of money. Which, if you think about World of Warcraft, especially in Q4, I mean, what big releases does Blizzard have in Q4? They're big. There's Hearthstone got its stuff. Diablo 2 Resurrected, of course, has its stuff. But, World of Warcraft is very sleepy. It's very, very sleepy in this quarter, isn't it? So they are absolutely going to want to get as much as they can. So remember, all those Hearthstone MAUs, who are, all those Hearthstone people, like we talked about this earlier, like weeks ago, but like if you're a regular Hearthstone player and the things given to you by the 6-month WoW sub are things you'd actually use in Hearthstone, like you'd be stupid not to get the World of Warcraft subscription to get those Hearthstone rewards because it's cheaper than just buying them in Hearthstone. So that means that all those Hearthstone people, I mean, we're certainly going to be able to be counted as WoW MAUs should they log in. And of course, they'll be WoW subscribers for 6 months, which certainly looks quite good for Blizzard's metrics. You've got that going on. As you pointed out, you log in to get the one reward, and then the next month you log in to get the other one. Then there's the cat. Or not the cat, sorry. The other... Man, there's store mounts going everywhere, because this is a cat. Was it not a mouse that came from Hearthstone very, very recently? So there was the the tutorial for mercenaries. You get the mouse mount. So that's everybody going over to Hearthstone to sort of juice up its MAUs. Of course, you've got Season of Mastery, which, is an interesting thing. I can't say it massively appeals to me because it feels like it's almost taking the sort of, a long Diablo seasonal model and applying it to an MMO. But for me, like, a MMO means, like, investment into a character, really, for a long, long time.
Yeah, it's like I said about Season of Mastery. Season of Mastery, I think, is their experiment going, we'll go for the private server players who like that repetition, who like that. We'll almost speedrun Classic in a way. But obviously there's a couple changes that'll make it more interesting than just whatever. Totally. But it is that idea as opposed to what MMO Classic was to people.
Yes, yeah. So you've got Q2 being bolstered up by Classic TBC. Q4 being bolstered up by Season of Mastery. There's the bit where I just start to wonder, like, holy shit, how many Classic products are we going to have? Because if they're doing Season of Mastery, like, it's just going to be WoW Classic Season of, and then it could be something in the Burning Crusade, it could be something in Classic, it could be something in Wrath. So maybe they will always have, like, one funky seasonal version, then the legacy versions to log into, and then the most recent Classic product. But man, it's going to be hard for them to actually manage that slate of products before you click on the WoW button and just like boom, here's 50 different ways to play World of Warcraft. So I wonder what their plan is there. But for this mount, look, it is what it is. It's a store mount. We all know what the crack is there. If it is the case that this is a mount that would make sense within the next expansion, where, it's like the Dracorium, this is the one that I always bring up. The Fey Dragon was sold to us in Mists of Pandaria during a content drought to help juice Blizzard's numbers. You then go into Shadow Moon Valley in Warlords of Draenor. You find that where we should have had our Order of the Cloud Serpent-like reputation that earned us a new mount and would have given us a reason to play the game for 2 or 3 weeks, instead, there was basically no content there. There was not a reputation there like we would have expected from past expansions, and it instead was a store mount. And this is generally what I see when we look at these store mounts, and that's why I think, frankly, I understand all the people who are like, it's just, it's a WoW token, you buy it with gold. But I'm thinking, like, guys, okay, you're thinking very first order here. You're thinking very surface level. Let's turn that brain from a chicken fillet into a nice wrinkly thinker, because those mounts would usually be the big reward for content. That's why I always bring up the Fey Dragon. Because with the Fey Dragon, we evidently lost content in the new expansion. Warlords of Draenor was one that suffered from a lack of content. And you can see this track through multiple store mounts that they've done, which otherwise could have had multiple different colors, being a great prestige reward for, completing a rep that would have had a story and a bunch of content, like what they've done in the past. So I understand the people who are like, it's just a money thing. It's like, yeah, but it's just a money thing now that actually would have been in-game content and a reason to pay your subscription in the past that would have made more user satisfaction. And that's always what it comes down to for me. Yeah,
I would love to know how that decision was made back in the day, because was it the idea of they were in the production room and they went, hey, so we've got these Fey Dragons, like the Order of the Cloud Serpent, we'd like to make this content, we'd like to make a little rep bar for people to fill up and do some nice content with these people. And then the production side went, that's not going to fit in the schedule, because obviously, Warlords of Draenor was kind of scuffed in the schedule in a whole bunch of ways. But I wonder if it was that case of, hey, no, we don't have time to make content. What do we do with this mount? Or what do we do with this model? Or if it was the other way around, which was, money's not looking so good. we need to get a model out, we need to get a store mount out, see how it goes, make a load of money, juice up the numbers. And then later on, they looked at the content and went, well, we don't have a mount to give them anymore, so if we have no reward, we can't give them content. Oh, like the mid-star.
Oh, yeah. When have they thought that before?
Yep.
Again, you who would defend the store mount against what we're saying, Ian Hazacostas, game director, framed the Mage Tower's existence as a reason to give a reward. Mm-hmm. So if the rewards go skittled off to the store, then maybe reasons for a good old bit of content go away. As per how the game director has explained their thinking about putting things in the game very recently in the year 2021.
I mean, they're like, literally speaking, there is a parallel universe where they earlier on managed to get weapon cosmetics on the store, and then we got the weapon cosmetics for those unique artifact skins on the store, and then didn't get a mage star. Based on that philosophy, that is actually a completely reasonable sort of alternate future, because it didn't happen, but it could have based on how they make decisions. Which is why it's why that whole debate is like, we can see all, like, if you look at it from the perspective of, you know, cosmetics become content if they don't have a place, then you look at the store and all you see is content we never got.
Yeah, like I would say to people, think about this as an architect. Think about this from a top-down view. Really try to think in those larger terms about what things could actually be, instead of thinking just as a player, just as a consumer, because that is the mindset that can, you know, be a little bit exploited. And as Neil's actually there says in chat, the Grinning Reaver probably could have been the same for the Horde as well. So that's just stuff that, you know, we always want to bring this up because people should know. Now, the other thing here is, actually, there's one reason to. It's taking candy from a fucking baby. And that's not to be super derogatory about, you know, how people spend their own money. Let's be real. You're Blizzard Entertainment. You just make this mount exist out of, you know, some modeler hours, some rigger hours, some animator hours, you know, they get the texture, blah, blah, blah. You make this thing exist. And now you've got two different choices. You can build a whole bunch of content around that. It's going to require your narrative designers to make it narrative, your quest designers to make quests. You have to spend all that fucking time to make some content that'll keep people subbed in the game. You might think to yourself, well, they're just going to be running Mythic Plus anyway, so they'll be subscribed. It'll be fine. They'll just do all transmog rugs anyway. It'll be fine. They'll be subbed. And so instead of spending all of that extra time and effort to give it away to people for free, even though they're a paying subscriber, you just put it in the store. And it's like pure profit. You know, I'm sure there's like a few percentage, you know, payment processing fee, a tiny amount of customer service, things like that. But, you know, let's just say you sell, I don't even know what a number is. If you're to lowball and say you sold 200,000 of these, I mean, 200,000 times $25, that's a lot of revenue. Yep. That's a lot of revenue for a fucking FBX. I mean, I don't know what file format it is, but whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just sounds like I'm being reductive. It's like, oh, it's selling JPEGs, selling GIFs. But you know what I mean, right? Like, think about this from the biz perspective. If people are going to buy it, and their duty is to produce good numbers to report to the superiors, I mean, obviously they're going to do it. Obviously, that's just how it is. But it's one of those things where, you getting the thing that you want in that sort of direct way, you can see how it's fine for you, but it basically ends up being kind of harmful when you look at how that singular interaction plays into the complex system that is the business of the World of Warcraft. And that's why WoW can have, you know, really so much less subscribers than it did in the past when it was at its peak. But, you know, almost 100% sure right now it's making way more money than it did back then because of the deeper and more intelligently, you know, done monetization.
Yeah. I mean, to go back to, this isn't really all that fair a comparison, but whenever we did the WoW economy video, and we compared the dollar cost of raiding in terms of what you needed to buy for consumables, that obviously like excludes what you're going to get from playing the game gold wise, but it's the idea of it was I can't remember which one it was, but it was during one of the expansions. If you bought all of your consumables for raid with WoW token, you would actually end up paying more monthly for raid consumables than you were your actual sub. So that is like a possibility in the back of my mind. There's so much token monetization, so much store mount monetization that, you know, you lose 60% of your subs, and it doesn't matter because the existing subs are paying for them and more.
Yeah.
That's kind of I guess that's the whole point of Wales, like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So there we go. The business. Enjoy the business. We have done the business, Matt.
Love business.